guys, M.V.K here, back again. Welcome back to the channel. This is for once again the pack on YouTube as well as the Uber Pack members on Patreon, as always. And today, guys, we are here because I'm here to deliver the second round of one of my Uber Pack members, Lorenzo Smalls. I'm here to deliver your first of 4 of your second round requests. And what is that request? The first one, well, Lorenzo did the, I wouldn't say unthinkable, but he did something that he knew I would be highly fulfilling to do. All his requests deals with this guy right here. My favorite superhero of all time, the one that comes before everyone else, the amazing, the spectacular, the sensational Spider-Man. Yes, indeed, people, Spider-Man. And today I'm doing his first, and basically his first was something that I felt like I could get out of the way quicker. It wouldn't really have to take too much time. But how would I write Spider-Man? How would I write Spider-Man? I thought about this for a while. I said to myself, how could I write Spider-Man? If I was given the honor and blessing to write one of the greatest fictional characters in literature, what would I do? I thought about that for a good time. So Lorenzo, you challenged me a little bit, my dude, but your Alpha's here to deliver because we're going to talk about that. What would I do? So let's say hypothetically, Spider-Man, I was a writer. Kinda am, but not professionally. What would happen if I was honored to write Spider-Man? Let's do this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about what I would want Peter doing. I'm going to talk about what I would write for his love life, the do's and nots, his occupation when he's not being the amazing. I'm just going to talk about certain things and even things I would include. So let's start this off, right? So first of all, where would I begin? Well, let's just say hypothetically, Zeb Wells never got chosen to be the next writer for Spider-Man. You know how honorable it would be for someone to say, hey, you're going to be writing Spider-Man on his longest ongoing title, Amazing Spider-Man. That is a cool idea. Now, I have met Zeb Wells, and he's a great dude. He's a fun, loving guy. But he came from the Bendis' long run, I think, yeah. Wasn't there someone else before Wells? I can't remember. Yeah, there was. So let's just say I would pick up right after Bendis. Okay, so there we go. I'm picking up right where Bendis left off, and there would be a whole lot of shaking going on in between that. Trust me when I tell you that. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about is what things would I be changing and what things would be staying. The first thing I'm going to tell my publisher, if I was writing Spider-Man, the first thing I'm doing is Peter and MJ are going to get married. And I can already see my editor-in-chief base saying, no, we can't do that. And I'm going to argue with that. I'm going to seriously argue with that. Why? Why do you always feel like you guys have to devolve the character, take away things about that character that should have never been changed? So I would seriously argue with my editor-in-chief about that. I would be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna put them back together for good. That's my whole run, is building up to them remarrying. and they will get married. And if my editor-in-chief says to me, no, Chris, you can't do that, that's not, then I'm gonna say, then I'm putting Peter with somebody, with another woman, and I'm killing Mary Jane off. Because if she's not going to be with Spider-Man, she's not going to be Mrs. Mary Jane Parker, then I don't want her with anybody else. Call me selfish, but no. That's how I feel now. I don't like the idea that she is with another man playing stepmother and things like that. I am not cool with that. I'm not cool with it. Peter and Mary Jane belong together. And that's the first thing I would do. I'm getting rid of that stupid nonsense with one more day. And if they call me, and if Casada call me and say, hey man, come on, you're not supposed to do that, I'm gonna be like, Joe, you're not here anymore. That should have never happened. It was stupid. It was stupid then. It's stupid now. It makes no sense. Why is it that Peter can't be in a relationship? There was nothing wrong with Peter being married. Stop seeing yourself through Peter, because that's how I feel like he did. He felt like he saw himself through Peter. I see myself through Peter as well, but I enjoy the fact that he has good things as well in life, not just as Spider-Man. I want him to be good as Peter Parker, and that right there is the key right there. I want to balance Peter and Spider-Man. That there are good things for Peter Parker and there's good things for Spider-Man. Sure, there will be turmoil, but the thing is, right off the rip, Peter and MJ, my first run would be building to the remarriaging of Peter and MJ, and they would get married. And I would tell my chief, either you're gonna fight me on this, if not, then you better start putting teasers in other books, the death of Mary Jane, because I'm not gonna have her build with anybody else. Y'all tried that before, it didn't work. Stop it. So yes, Peter and MJ back together. Let's talk about what I would do if for jobs. Peter, I liked Peter having his own company. I thought that was I will give Slott that credit. I actually liked him with Parker Industries. I felt like Peter being the CEO, he felt like Ted Cord, Blue Beetle, but he wasn't stuck up like Tony Stark or anything like that. He was humbled. He stayed humble. Why? Because the person from the woman that raised him, even though he had this big company and everything, he still was that kid from Forest Hill, Queens. Still looking as he was before. He's the little guy. Now, the one thing I would not have Peter doing in terms of job, he wouldn't be going back to the Daily Bugle. I like the idea of what they did. Oh, have him go back to the Daily Bugle, but not as a freelance photographer. He went back, and it was cool. It was nostalgic. I get where they were coming from with that. But one thing I really appreciate, and I think Marvel seems to forget about this, is that Peter, at the heart of who he is, he's a scientist. He's a scientist at heart. First and foremost, he's a scientist. We never really put him in a category as, sometimes I don't see it, but every time we talk about the big brains in Marvel, he's never in that category. Sure, there are guys smarter than him, but he's smart and showcased that. That's why I loved the game. The game showcased Peter as a scientist. And the one job that I thought he had that I would bring back for Peter is him being a teacher. I loved Peter as a science teacher at the same high school he graduated from, Midtown High. Right before the Civil War and everything like that, he was a science teacher. It was great. I thought it was so cool to see Peter come to class, and sometimes he got bandages on his someplace, and his students would say, Mr. Parker, what happened? And he would make up the excuse, oh, you know, I fell off something. I was putting something up and I fell. Bumped my head. Me and my wife were doing something, and remember, this is still when him and MJ were still together, married, and he's just like, yeah, I fell off. So yes, Peter would be a teacher. and a good one too, and still be able to balance that. And I would love to have that, showing Peter being the good teacher that he is, teaching his students, teaching his students to express themselves through science, but also never being afraid, because that was something that he had to deal with. Evolving the character, not devolving him, keeping him like a man-child or anything, and that's fine. But there are times it's like you gotta grow the character up some. Once again, stop looking at yourself through the character, right? So yes, job-wise, Peter would be a teacher again. Now, through that being said, so we talked about his relationships. We talked about what I would want with his relationship and what job I want. If let's say hypothetically, once again, if the editor says, look, we don't want Peter and MJ together. We can't let you kill her off. You just have to play ball with us, please. I said, okay, hypothetically, I said, okay. Then I'm putting Peter with a woman, a new woman in his life. They're going to be together for a long time, and nobody's going to better not have a problem with that. And I said, she's not going to be a regular woman. No, she'll be a fellow hero. I always like the idea of Peter being, if he can't be with a normal woman, then he's with a woman who knows the wheel and deals of being a superpowered hero. Who would I choose? That's my decision. Now, I remember they teased a lot about him and Carol Danvers. That wouldn't work out now because it seems like she and Rhodey still kind of have an on and off relationship. But I really thought that was a cool idea of Peter being with somebody that he knows he doesn't need to be like, it's not the damsel in distress. I like that idea. Peter, and she was really feeling Peter too. And I remember that. I remember that vividly. Peter's also been with Mockingbird. I remember he and Mockingbird dated for a while, and that was okay. But the first thing, no, he's not going to Silk. That's for sure. Don't ask me if someone says, "Oh, put him with Silk." Nope, that is out of the question. I don't want Silk anywhere near him at all. I know there's some kind of attraction that they got when they're together. They just get busy and everything like that. I get that, but no. If it was up to me, all I'm going to say is the woman that Peter would be with would be a fellow hero. And let's just say she would be a character of color, and a character Peter roommate with a long time ago. That's all I'm gonna say. So I would kind of put that together. The other choice would be I would build up a relationship with Peter and an old friend that we all love. She would be a redhead. These are the top two. I'm not gonna tell you they are. You just gotta think. A redhead. She's pretty blazing. There's a hint. So yeah. So if I couldn't have Mary Jane, the two heroines that Peter would be with, one of them would be a person of color with a very strength of a powerful big cat. There you go. And Peter knew this, had a roommate who was this character. There you go. The other one, let's just say she's a redhead, but she's blazing. Yeah. those who don't know what I'm talking about, I would build up a relationship between Peter and Angelica Jones, aka Firestar. Yep. Yes, Firestar was with Justice for a while, but I believe they're no longer together. But yeah, I would build up a relationship between them. Being friends and friendships, someone who's close to you, your friends, sometimes that will build up to something and boom. So yeah, I would have Peter in a relationship with a mutant. They did it in the Ultimate Universe. I really thought Peter, Spider-Man, and Shadowcat's relationship was cute. I liked it. I thought it was great. So yeah, I would do that. Now, so those are kind of the things right there. If I can't get Mary Jane and him back together, that's the relationship. Job-wise, science teacher again. Now, let's say if I did get MJ back together, they were together, what would MJ be doing? She would be an entrepreneur, former model, entrepreneur. She would have a couple of businesses that she works. I would even have MJ probably have her own modeling agency. Builds her own modeling agency where she can show these new up and coming models what it's like and things like that. So yes. I would literally keep a lot of characters dead. So maybe once in a while I would bring up an issue where Peter is giving thanks and honoring Gwen Stacy on the anniversary of her death once in a while, but I would never keep going back to Gwen or anything like that. In terms of the Rogues Gallery, yeah, they would be very highly pushed. Craven would definitely get pushed a lot, to the point where we've seen Peter, Craven come after Peter for the last time, or him saying that he can't die unless Peter kills him. Remember that he's immortal to the point the only person that can kill him is Peter. So I would kind of play with that a lot in the series with Craven. But some characters would take a step back, and I would push other characters back to the forefront. So your Doc Ocks, your Goblins would take a step back a little bit. I don't mind them trying to redeem Green Goblin, but over time, a leopard can't change his spot, so that's not going to work for me too long. I understand what Zeb Wells and them are trying to do, but I would do that same thing, but realize it's all a front. But yeah, your Doc Ocks, but I would push characters like Electro and Scorpion and the Spot. I would definitely Mysterio. I would probably have a big run with. Another big thing I would do is a big event in Spider-Man, and I would probably call it I would have a big event where all the criminal crime bosses of New York are trying to pick up the pieces of Wilson Fisk to be the real takeover from. Now remember, in Devil's Reign, he left and he gave the rights of the Kingpin to his son. But there, I would really have it where, and I would work with people like Chip Zdarsky, and I'm like, yo, let's build this up. It'll be a Spider-Man event, and a lot of the allies that Spider-Man have would be characters that you haven't seen in a while. Like I would have the Slingers come back and all these other characters. So there would be some big events. Another big event in this would be a true spin-off series from Spider-Man. Another big event would be the origin of a real Spider-Boy. I would bring a real Spider-Boy into the Marvel Universe. That would be one of my contributions. But I would also be introducing a lot of new characters, a lot of new villains for Peter. I would even have Peter getting mixed up with the Hand to a degree, because the Beast would feel they would need maybe his blood for something. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I would also there would also be stories where Peter would meet Anansi, and he would be like, he would play a game with Peter, because he's a trickster, right? The Anansi, the spider god, but he's a trickster. So I would have Anansi in there. I'd bring in a lot of legends, spider legends as well for my run. But still, it would all be building up to the marriage. At the end of the day, if I got my way with MJ, it would still be building up to their getting married. And I would push so hard for that. But like I said, one of the major arcs would be a spin-off series, Spider-Boy. And Spider-Boy would literally be a genetically engineered human who also happens to be half spider. He would be literally created, and he would kind of be similar to, like, I would say, like Frankenstein, but a teenager with a heart. And the creator, I would be someone who admired Spider-Man, somebody who he helped. And that's where the Hand comes in, and I would bring into a fold with that. I'll talk about that because the Spider-Boy situation actually involves another request too. So yes, there would be a Spider-Boy who is human and spider combined. So his eyes, for example, you couldn't see it unless you really looked deep. He would have 6 eyes, and he would be with different pigments of eyes, smaller eyes in him. So when people see him, they can't really see because he wears glasses a lot. But he'd be like a teenage boy. He would have the organic webbing to a degree. He would have the organic webbing, but I would mainly have him use a gun, a web gun, that shoots web balls and all kinds of stuff. But Peter would teach him how to be, because he would understand it, because I was that age. So he would teach him, and it becomes the case because the scientist that created him knows Peter is Spider-Man. That's how I would go about doing it. So we talked about relationship, occupation, a lot of things I would do with his Rose Gallery, stories I would tell, introducing new characters. One of the characters I would introduce in there would not be new versions of old characters. Marvel, I remember they brought in a new Rhino after the old Rhino kind of got out of his suit and he was married and everything, and then the old Rhino killed his wife. The new Rhino killed his wife. He blamed Spider-Man for her death, and he became the Rhino again. I wouldn't do that. I would be introducing new characters. A lot of new elemental characters. I would introduce more of a character similar to one of my favorite Batman characters, because once again, there would be a new character I feel that can work with Spider-Man, like a Riddler-like character, where we would see Spider-Man have to use his head more often. Morlun would not be in the series. If I was writing Spider-Man, Morlun would not be in the series as much, but I would bring Black Tarantula, classic characters like Tarantula I would bring back, Willow and the Wisp, and there would be a hero, a villain that actually would be redeemed. I would redeem one character, and he would become a hero. Who is that character? Hydro Man. I would have Hydro Man become a true legit hero. Serve his time, get out. Maury Bench would realize that with the power I have, you know what I could be doing with this power? He would set Peter astray. Also, heroes, friends of Spider-Man. You would still see me doing a lot of good things with him and Johnny Storm as much as I could. One time working, I would want to get at least one crossover between him and Daredevil. I always love seeing them come together. And I would also maybe even try to get that off the ground with Marvel and be like, yo, I want to co-write a Spider-Man Daredevil series with maybe working with Chip Zdarsky or something like that. Because I've always felt like Marvel never tried to do that. Why? I would still have a lot of heroes come through, like the Avengers would come through and Peter would help them, but never be a full-time member of the Avengers because he's not. He's always been a part-timer, to most degree. I would also have his relationship. Here's another thing that I would do. It is now acknowledged that Peter does have a sister. He does have a sister, and she is kind of a spy. So there will be some issues where I would have Peter going on missions to help his sister in some way. I would kill off Aunt May. It is time. I feel Aunt May needs to rest in peace for good. Yeah, I would. I would want to see how. This is where I would put myself into Peter by finally letting Aunt May go. How would I have done it? Simple. She would die in her sleep. I wouldn't have it be like a villain killer. No, she died peacefully. And the last thing, and I would do it where she was talking to Peter. They were just talking about life on the phone, and then she says, well, dear, I'm getting a little tired. Good night, dear. I love you. And he says, good night, Aunt May. I love you too. So when she passes the next day, it'll be sad, but it would also be very cheerful because Peter got to talk to her and tell her, like, I got to say goodbye. I got to tell her I love her. But I wouldn't have it where it would be something bad to happen to her. I would have Aunt May, because I feel Aunt May, that's one character. As much as I love her, that is one character I feel needs to, I think it's time. It's time to let her go. She's been an essential part of Peter's character, but we got to see how he would do without her. It's been a long time coming to see that. Every time they do it, they bring her back or things like that. No, I would also tell if I kill somebody off, it's for good, or it's going to be for good for a while until someone comes along and finds a plausible way of bringing her back. Let's talk about clones. Yeah, would be tough because as much as I hate the Clone Saga, I would probably do something with Kane, Ben, and Peter together. I would do something all together. Peter and Miles' relationship would be even stronger if I was writing them. If I was writing Spider-Man, his relationship with all the Spider characters, and more importantly, I would have Peter form a better foundation with Arena Corazon, Spider Girl. There would be some issues where I would have Peter globe hopping from to other multiverses, including Gwen's Spider-Ghost's universe. So you get to see a little bit more of her universe. Like, I would love to write an issue where he gets to see how Matt Murdock in her universe is. That's one of his best friends. So imagine how Peter would feel to see Matt is a villain. Yeah, that would be great. The main gist of it is, guys, is that what I would do if I was writing Spider-Man, you would see a whole difference of character. Still the wisecracking, cool character that he is, but you would also see the evolution of him. He's an adult. He should be more of an adult. They seem to have him stay like, even though he's over 60 plus years old, in the comics, I don't even think Peter's even in his 30s, they make it seem like. But yeah, I would make him older. I would have him feel like he's a little older, and I would do some jokes where he kind of starts maybe like feeling it a little bit, but still be Peter Parker. And when my run, not only my second, so I would want to write Spider-Man for at least 3 years. So 3 major arcs. On my final run, if he was with Mary Jane, married, the last thing Mary Jane would tell Peter, I'm pregnant. That would be it. And she's pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. And you can guess what those names would be. Period. So those are some of the things I would do if I was writing Peter. If I was writing Spider-Man. I would have a lot of fun, but I would do everything totally different. Where it would be still the character you love, that we love, but it would be upped. So, outside of that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion of what I would do if I was writing Spider-Man. And with that being said, Lorenzo, thank you for the request. I will get to another one of your all Spider-Man requests. And with that, guys, you guys take care. Deuces. No, matter of fact,